Hello and welcome to the Cardboard Bunker. My name is Pieburn and today we are back into Space Engineers. We're building onto the Janus. I've got two main goals today. One is to start extending and show you how to extend and what you can use with this sort of a cross section for the Janus. We need to bring that all the way forward to this marker, which is right above me here. If I jump in here, point with the lights, this marker here shows me where the end of the storage section will be for the ship. And obviously it's not completely symmetrical up and down wise, but it is completely symmetrical and centered and triple checked, because you should always triple check. Measure twice, cut once, otherwise you may as well throw out the project. Sorry, distracted. Anyway, so what we're going to do is bring everything up to here, because in front here will be a lot of storage. We're going to store put large cargo containers as well as some living quarters and that sort of stuff all going under here. But we need to extend this cross section so we know exactly how far, where to space everything and what kind of building area we've got. The next thing we need to do is get into the hangar here. So if we fly from the ship to where the Cookie Monster is, you'll see right in here that it's a snug fit. I'm probably not going to go any wider, but eventually the drills on the Cookie Monster will be removed and the entire ship will be extended both up and forward. Probably half again forward and maybe 2 or 3 more blocks up. I don't want it too much taller than it is, but I do want to make sure that it has everything it needs and can be protected and defensible. That will be essentially my mini exploring ship that will go onto the planets, as well as this large ship which will be the main warehouse, mobile station, as well as warship. 2 roles, hence Janus, the two-sided god. Anyway, let's get back into this. So, I'm having a giggle with myself. Anyway, so the goal of today is we need to build this out. Now each one of these cross sections builds out into a frame, 3 blocks by 3 blocks surrounded. That gives us the basic building block. We can then chip away at it when we go out here. So the easiest way to do this is to start, find the most extreme point, and if it's 2, go to the upper and lower extreme of that point and build that out just a few blocks. Generally I'd like to count out 7 or 8. I won't count them out loud now, but we just do this, bring it all across. Oh, that doesn't really matter. If you place in another spot, obviously just cut it away. Okay, and then you find the nearest cross section. So now we find the next intersection and we start placing it down there and just bring it out as far as, if not a bit further. It's only when you get to the end that you really have to worry about that. We just keep doing that. So I'll probably do this for a little while just to make sure that I've got all the intersection behind here done. Then I'll show you how we fill it in. And we just need to make sure that everything's symmetrical. Generally going forward, when you have a profile already, is a lot easier than making your profile symmetrical either side. But essentially the idea is we're going to do this on this side, then on the other side, and so on and so forth until such time as we've got the entire armor frame out. The next thing is we need to start building out each of these frames here. Now these are essential. They give us spacing, but they also give us structural redundancy. So if a torpedo comes through, we'll get the pointing welder out. If a torpedo comes through this section here and smashes all of this, if we didn't have all this extra framework, this whole section here might not collapse, but if it broke in the right spots, then we'd have bits floating off. Plus it also means we can start using these to measure out such wonderful things as internal thrusters. So we can place, where are we? Let's get myself some orientation. So we can place, like I have here already, place a thruster inside pointing down and another one pointing up, and that gives us directional thrust vertically, just like that. But we can also use it to give us directional thrust horizontally by placing it in here, leaving a gap because we need to make sure that we leave 4 cube spaces, 4 block spaces, probably a better way to say it, in front. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So nothing can be placed in this space here, but we can, if we want to, add some extra armor in this spot here. More than likely I won't, because I'm not too worried about the thrusters being exposed to space if some of this outer armor gets destroyed. Wait, there's a column there, because if you look, and again we'll get out the pointing border, if you look, we have this column here, we have another column here, then we have this rather thick layer with a gap of armor out here. This is just the inner layer of the armor as well. On top of this we're going to have blast door blocks, and then on top of that we're going to have armor again. So there's a great deal of armor between the outside and the inside. So having a thruster buried this far in isn't much of a risk, and having this open here isn't much of a risk. We could put the thrusters forward, but then we couldn't reinforce this armor here if we so chose. Now more than likely I'll just leave it as spaced like this, but there is a high chance that later on I will come in and block all this up with armor, just to give us that extra layer, especially around the hydrogen tanks over there. They're kind of important, and if they get damaged, you lose all of that hydrogen. So that's the purpose and the reason why we do all those, but it also gives us a chance if we want to change the design. So especially up here when we get closer to this thing, we are going to want to make sure that we can merge everything in correctly. So if you look up here, this sticks out longer than the armor will actually stick out here, so we need to figure out some way to merge these in. This is the blast door block armor, so this will actually be here, and we'll start the slope here. So we'll need to merge that in some way. The easiest way to do that is with one of these, and that should fit that shape nicely in there. We then get the other section of that here. We can easily fix that with that there, and then we can bring it down and around however we like. So I'm only doing this because I need to make sure that I get this right for the armor underneath. So I want to bring this out at least to here. Okay, we can use this block, the single slope block. We can then start bringing this around, and if we choose to, we can merge it into the block by putting a corner piece and dragging this along here, but I don't want to do that. I'm just going to cut it off straight there, and then we'll bring it back to the main block. Inside here we'll put blast doors. That just gives us a point at which we can start molding everything in together. Most of the time you can use these sorts of blocks quite easily to mold everything in together, all these different corner blocks. Just plan ahead a little bit, make sure that you can actually fit everything in that needs to get fitted in, if that makes sense. Okay, so the armor is, so you can see that the armor is actually going to be significantly wider than it is there. So anyway, we'll probably grind all this out, paint it pink or whatever, and get rid of it. For this next section I'm going to grab the little workhorse over here, and I've got the grinder's side in first, jump in the little turtle, and I should be able to just grind a lot of this heavy armor away. I'm getting rid of the front because from the front I will be extending the Cookie Monster, so we need to make sure that we have enough space, so we may as well get rid of all of this stuff. Even with a grinding ship, it takes a long time to grind down heavy armor, and that is the point. That is the whole point. The heavy armor has got a lot of hit points, and it's very, very, very strong and durable. Blast door blocks have even more hit points, a little bit less resistance to damage, I'd say, but they definitely have more hit points. If you build them the right way, it's almost an indestructible skin until you start getting into the heavy modded stuff. Once you get into the mods, pretty much nothing else matters, and then you need to start adding shields. Shield mods look cool, but they sort of defeat the purpose of having, you know, a ship that's built in a practical way. Okay, we've moved all of those blocks that were in the way. We can now start extending the hangar bay. We're just going to use heavy armor blocks pretty much for most of this build. I'll switch out to light armor blocks later if I need to, but for now. So we're going to do the same grid. I'll put a note to give myself 2, but I think I'm going to give myself a third one. I've got plenty of room at the front. So what I mean by third one is a third space / grid marker, which is 3 blocks and then the marker itself. You always want to have an uneven number so you can have a center line. It's better to have a center line in Space Engineers, generally speaking. So we'll bring this down as the front area, the front buffer. It should be enough room. So we're going to bring it up at least to this level here, because I want this to be the start of, well, basically the top of the square part of the hangar. So it's going to be the same everywhere. And we need to decide on a profile shape and a cross section like this ship here. So I'm going to use heavy armor to do it because it needs to be heavy armor to protect the occupants of the ship anyway. Plus also it's going to be exposed to space, so if we get shot at, this could be a very strong weak point. And then we'll bring this one up from 1 block away. That way we get that, we get a bit of a buffer. Okay, so that's fine there. So I'll extend that shape as well. So in here, it gives us, if we look at it, it gives us a bit of leeway through the middle, which is more than likely where we'll put any defenses. And if we build the shape right over the top of the cooking monster, you'll see that. At the moment, it just looks like a giant square because of all the drills. But if you look back here, the drills actually extend out 1 more block than the side of this does anyway, which should give us, if I've calculated correctly, 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. So that should have a 4 block gap. So those side thrusters won't do any damage, not that they really would to heavy armor anyway. So now we've got this shape kind of settled on. More than likely I will keep this. If I decide not to, I'll bring you back in and let you know. But essentially the whole idea is not just to make this one big solid block of armor. We need to be able to gain access to it, and we need to be able to gain access to the roof. So we need to build a walkway all the way down and into this area. So whenever you build one of these ships, especially as big as this, you've got to think to yourself, how would I get anywhere if I didn't have any fuel, if I didn't have any jetpack fuel, if I didn't have any gravity? You know, you can use your mag boots on the ground, that's no problem at all. But we need to figure out how are we going to get from up here. You know, we can get from the bridge, no problem. And how do we get from this section, ooh, nice and green, down to the hangar below? So we need to, we've got a big massive refineries here, so that's not going to be easy. More than likely, I will bring the stairwell back up under here somewhere. That's kind of why I've left that gap there, and I haven't built this side out much yet either. Is essentially I want to figure out which side I want to bring the hangar up from and then go from there. So what we can do now is we can use this as a starting point. So that should all be safely not connected to each other because they're 2 separate grids. So they shouldn't walk on each other. And then we've got this little walkway out onto the cookie monster. We can just walk all the way over here and go, oh, left the door open. Yes, we can go over and go, oh, I left the door open. Okay. Oh geez, and the way I've designed this is you can just walk around the back anyway. So there we go. So now we have a spot where we can start walking out, making our way up to the next level, which is actually quite a long way. It's quite a fair distance. And directly down here will be hydrogen tanks. If I do this correctly, I should build the hydrogen tanks in first. So we can make it that this is the top for the hydrogen tanks. Make this one big solid wall of heavy armour. Build the shape in from the outside, no problem. And then bring up our stairwell this way. Yes, 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 it's making sense. So what you do is you have a catwalk like this, a catwalk stairs. You turn the lights around, they attach to the top there, no problem. That then gives you an attachment point for your catwalk on top. I didn't want to do the light system because by doing the lights, you generally use up a fair bit of your, if you're in a server, your PCU, I think they call it, basically your block limit. So here I don't need to do the light trick. You can do the lights also can add a little bit of like ambience to a section. So you can put these lights in here, have them fairly dim so that they barely illuminate the catwalk. But if you're going to do anything like that, now's the time to do it while they're unbuilt and you can find them easily enough. So if we walk over here, we go to K in this menu and then type in corner lights. Corner lights. We've got to be able to spell it right. We want to ignore all of those. We want to find the ones that are incomplete. Donk, donk, and donk. So now we rename them because that's the best way to do it. By the block group, we're going to call it JNS for Janus. We're going to go CL for corner light, and we're going to call it hanger stairs. We'll call it hanger stairs. Hanger stairs. That works out. Save. We can go up here and go CL. We've got this group here. We'll click on that. Find where they are. And then want to go back to each one of these. Now we'll just type in corner again. That's right. Because I didn't change the name of the block yet. I only changed the name of the group. So we can click on this one. It's corner light. So we go JNS CL for corner light. Hanger stairs 1. Oops. If I can type. Stairs 1. That's fun. So I'm going to cheat. Get rid of that. Not get rid of it, sorry. Select that, paste it into this one here. So we've got 182 and then space. Dun, dun, dun. Nice and easy. And we're going to, we might as well just, oh no, we can change them later because now we've got them named, so it's all okay. So now we can walk up here and we're basically starting to, we can then start to switch back into getting up there. So we'll get the catwalk and we'll put it along over here. Flippity flippity. And that will give us a spot for we can start going up into the next section. Because this next section in the side here and on the other side will include a sleeping quarters for all the crew. So if you look at the profile, you can see this nice big gap here and there's another nice big gap next to the hydrogen tanks. So we do have plenty of space on the side here to be able to squeeze in some, well, I shouldn't use the term squeeze, so we can get in some living quarters down here. We don't need a lot of space for that. This small thin wafer of a section compared to the rest of the ship in here, right in the middle here, that will be the engineering department. I will have some reactors down here. I'll probably have, I think I'm planning on 6 large reactors, at least 6. I may even go up as high as 12 large reactors because there's going to be a lot of stuff being energized in here. Inside you can see under here we've got the batteries. They haven't quite been built yet, but all of these will be batteries. I've still got some more to place. But that is because we need a lot of power in this thing. So they're all fully charged, or almost fully charged. They are running everything. All of these are going crazy and we don't have any power on these. We've just got efficiency modules because we want to get the most out of every ore. We don't care how long it takes. All we care about is getting the most. And we do have a bank of 8 assemblers. At the moment, they're barely struggling to keep up with the bar system, but, and it's a big but, once everything is built, they'll only be repairing, so they don't need to build as much. And once, if we get in a combat situation, we'll have enough space here, because all of this is going to be storage. And in front of this bar will be where we start putting out some of our first large armaments. So we've got a lot coming up. There's a lot more for Future Pi to do. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a great pleasure playing this game. I'm glad I can share it with you. Please like, subscribe. Just as I get down to 25%, I'm finishing right on time. Please like, subscribe, share the video if you love what I do and you want to get my word out there. It helps me immensely. I've also got Discord. I'm probably live on Twitch right now, and I'm playing a variety of games too. So I do Diablo 3, I play Space Engineers, doing something with BJD on Twitch starting in February. If you're watching this in the future, it's already started. I'll try and upload those vids, see what we can do with that. So thanks everyone for watching. Have fun. Thank you all for all those people who donated to the Fire Brigade. The Royal Fire Service is doing a wonderful job. I'm going to keep putting a link down until such time as these fires stop. These guys do a great job, but they need every bit of support they can get. So thank you everyone for watching. Have fun, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.